Breaking news now at 9. An investigation into the suicide death of a young Utah student is just released to Fox 13 News. We'll show you the surprising findings and discrepancies.
Utahns eager to help Ukrainians, but are the things we are giving the things they need most?
So time matters. Donating fast matters.
How one advocate says you can give and make an impact.
We've had clear skies on Friday, and we've got a nice weekend on tap. Your forecast coming up.
It's no April Fool's joke why this Chick-fil-A hot air balloon ended up in the Salt Lake City cemetery.
Honoring Utah's Olympic legacy, Utah's athletes celebrate today in Park City with an eye toward the future.
We don't have a lot of time to do this. We've already lost Izzy, and she will be in my heart until the day that I die.
We begin Fox 13 News at 9 with breaking news tonight. The results of an independent investigation into bullying and racist allegations surrounding Izzy Tishner are now in. Izzy was a student in the Davis School District and died by suicide last November. Her family claims little was done to help.
But a newly released report is revealing much more to this story. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph is live at Foxborough Elementary in North Salt Lake tonight, breaking down what this independent team found. Spencer.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Now, this report was actually done by an independent law firm that was hired by the Davis School District to investigate two things: whether Izzy was bullied on the basis of her race and whether Izzy was bullied on the basis of her disability. Both her mother says that the district knew about and did not act. However, this report now says otherwise. The independent review team assembled by the Davis School District found no evidence that Izzy Tishner was bullied on the basis of her race or disability. In an executive summary released Friday, the team of investigators said it learned that Tishner's mother had complained to Foxborough Elementary School that she was bullied for her hygiene. However, the team was unable to investigate that matter further because it was not related to her disability. The investigation also found that educators at Foxborough Elementary School were unfamiliar with the district's definition of bullying and that the school failed to record reports of allegations of bullying towards Izzy in a timely manner. The final part of the report says the team recommended the Davis School District provide training to identify and address bullying, better identify signs of trauma and poverty, and better promote diversity and equity. The team also recommended that Foxborough Elementary School establish clear protocols for better record keeping of complaints reported about bullying. All of these recommendations with the end goal to make sure what happened to Izzy never happens again. We do have a statement that I want to read part of from the Davis School District. It says, in part, quote, "We thank the independent review team for its work and its diligence. We are studying the report and reviewing its recommendations, and we are taking this seriously." Adding, quote, "We vow to continue our ongoing and extensive efforts to foster a welcoming environment for all students in the Davis School District." Now, again, these findings are from an independent team brought on by the Davis School District. And I do want to actually say there is a part of note that we want to mention. We have reached out to Tishner's family, who has declined to comment at this time, and that this report that we have actually says that the team had reached out to her mother multiple times, as well as their lawyer, and they did not comment on any of that report as well, citing the anticipated suit against the school district. Now, if you want to read this entire report that we have obtained, you can see it now on fox13now.com. Live in North Salt Lake, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Spencer, thank you.
So many Utahns have been generous with their donations, yet Ukrainians are urging that if you want to give, please give what they need.
Fox 13 News reporter Aaron Cox spoke with volunteers helping right now in Poland and one Ukrainian woman here in Utah.
Cars packed, bags full of netting sewed by locals. Images of Ukraine, a place Jason Stout has lived for the past 6 years, a home he had to flee.
In the beginning, it was a mixture of shock and fear
Before moving to Ukraine, Jason worked with refugees in Salt Lake City. He never expected his family would one day walk in similar shoes.
It is a very strange feeling to be in a country not because you wanted to come on vacation, but because you had to come.
Once safe in Poland, Jason turned back to help those left behind.
And when I went back to Lviv in Western Ukraine, every day and every night there were air raid sirens. And every time I hear that air raid siren now, I immediately have a stressed response.
A fierce Svetlana Miller understands as she watches her home from here in Utah.
We've been trying to call my dad. We don't know where he is, but it doesn't necessarily mean the worst. There are a lot of people lost right now.
It inspired Svetlana to create To Ukraine with Love to send help home. Yet not all the donations Svetlana sees are what Ukrainians need.
I had a friend who had a cousin and the brother fighting in the front lines. She kept messaging, is there any way to get just 2 sets, just the protective helmet and the vest? And I said, we're gonna get this fundraiser going and I'm gonna ship a large quantity. We'll find a way to ship them and I'll make sure that your brother and your cousin get each a set. And yeah, she called in the beginning of the week and she said, just my cousin now, not my brother. He's gone. So time matters. Donating fast matters.
Donating fast and donating smart.
They won't flip the fuel bill to ship diapers or formula because it's right there in Poland. We can grab it on site.
Level 4 bulletproof vests and helmets, specific types of military equipment like drones. They also need things like night vision goggles that are very expensive.
Thank you for all you're doing for us. It saves our lives.
I spoke with Utah's honorary general consul about vetted organizations to donate to, along with those in Poland about what organizations are trustworthy. We'll link you up to those on our website, fox13now.com. In studio, Aaron Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A Utah business owner is stepping up to provide one of the greatest needs in Ukraine right now. It's light. With their streets and towns destroyed, many have lost power in Ukraine. They have no light and no way to charge their devices. It's one of the reasons Frank Davis realized he could really help out. Davis is the founder and CEO of Lion Energy in American Fork. His company specializes in energy storage systems.
It's debilitating, and if you can imagine, these people are in an underground bunker day and night without any lights. It's just, I can't even fathom what it's like emotionally, mentally to deal with that.
Davis and his team are sending 3 different products that they're powered by solar energy. Officials with Ukraine are picking up the portable power tomorrow and flying it home to their people. It should arrive hopefully by Monday.
The April General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints starts tomorrow and runs through Sunday afternoon. Seating at the conference center will be limited to 10,000 people per session, which is about half capacity. Tickets are available through stake presidents. A conference session ticket also serves as a ticket to ride any UTA transit option for free during conference weekend.
Well, today the wind blew in something you don't see every day. A Chick-fil-A hot air balloon made a landing in the Salt Lake City cemetery. Take a look. It was no accident. The restaurant chain owns the balloon, and they've been flying it around during the pandemic, landing in neighborhoods and passing out Chick-fil-A swag, all to put smiles on people's faces. Today, the pilot spotted a grassy spot to land, which just so happened to be the downtown cemetery. And just don't read anything into that. It's not an April Fool's Day joke or no ill intentions behind it. If you'd like to know where the balloon is headed next, they do update where the balloon will be on Instagram.
Yeah, not a lot of Chick-fil-A handed out at the cemetery today. I guess that goes without saying. But
Yeah.
It's not because it isn't good, though.
It was good flying weather, Dina, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't have too windy of a day at all. Here's our visible picture this evening. Notice as the sun goes down here, this picture turns dark because the sun can't see anymore. So a little bit different than the infrared picture. So what we have here is just some high-level cloud that we saw earlier tonight, especially over northern Utah. And we've got some great pictures, of course, on our Utah's Weather Authority Facebook page. Beautiful high cirrus clouds. Thanks, Sherry, for sending that one in. That's just gorgeous. So high pressure pressure's been around today. Our next storm system is still off the west coast, and we're not going to see much of a storm with it, more like clouds. Tonight it is partly cloudy and 49 degrees. And going into the overnight here, calm and clear weather mostly. And for Saturday, we've got a nice day. It's just going to have a cold front move through later in the afternoon, and that will just bring us some increased clouds and a chance for showers late Saturday night, Sunday morning in south central and southeastern Utah. But again, not looking at a lot of precipitation here. Should be a pretty mild weekend and a nice night. Temperatures will drop down into the upper 30s by the morning, but there is an April shower in your forecast. We'll tell you when coming up.
It's really cool to think that, I was maybe a small piece of inspiring that next generation.
It is a party in Park City celebrating the return of Utah's Olympians and the spirit of the games they're bringing home.
Lake Powell water levels continue to dip after reaching a historic low. Coming up, how boaters are adjusting to a new lake.
As a pilot, that would never be an option. If you saw something like that crack.
And a shattered windscreen on a flight out of Salt Lake forces an emergency landing. What may have caused this break and how things could have been much worse.
In national news, the House passed a bill today that would legalize marijuana on the federal level.
It's not expected to pass the Senate, but if it does and is signed by the president, it would drop some federal penalties and invest in areas hard hit by the war on drugs. But House members disagree on whether those communities would benefit.
The war on drugs disproportionately impacted Black, Latino, and minority communities, and they tore them apart with a very targeted incarceration strategy.
What's worse, we want to target those individuals and communities who are historically most impacted by the harm of illegal drugs and provide federal funding to help enable criminals to open and operate now legal drug businesses.
Even if the bill becomes federal law, recreational marijuana usage would still be a crime in most states.
The House has passed a bill to make insulin more affordable, but each of Utah's 4 congressmen voted against it. The bill caps the price at $35 a month, but only applies to patients with insurance. It also includes cost controls for other drugs by authorizing Medicare to negotiate prices on some medications and penalizing drug makers for raising prices faster than inflation. The bill now heads to the Senate, where it will face a tougher battle.
The unemployment rate dropped to 3.6% in March, according to federal data published today. That's close to the pre-pandemic low of 3.5%. The labor market remains the bright spot in an economy plagued by pandemic-related challenges and inflation, which is up almost 8% from a year ago. The number of people who are interested in full-time work is rising, and there are almost as many jobs now as there were before the pandemic.
In entertainment news, Will Smith has resigned from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences after he slapped Chris Rock during last weekend's Oscars ceremony. He also says he will accept any further punishment the Academy imposes. Smith went on to say in a statement issued this afternoon that, quote, "My actions at the 94th Academy Awards presentation were shocking, painful, and inexcusable." No word yet on whether the Academy will rescind Smith's Best Actor award, which he received for his role in the movie King Richard.
Today on Park City's historic Main Street, Utah athletes, past and present, packed the streets for a parade to honor Utah's Olympic and Paralympic legacy.
I tell you, it looked like a party there in Park City. Before moving to breaking news tonight, Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph went to the parade and spoke with Olympians about how history inspires future generations.
So all of the Olympians, Paralympians, please.
The amount of talent here in Utah is just unbelievable.
You have a medal, hold it up.
USA!
Yeah, it's cool to think that, 50 people from Park City who were in the Olympics this last year.
There's a lot of talent gathered in one room. 55 Utah Olympic and Paralympic athletes gathered together to inspire the next generation.
USA!
With many gathered just outside on Park City's historic Main Street to see their hometown heroes.
I could say that I was in those kids' footsteps back when I started speed skating.
One of the newest is 2022 speed skating bronze medalist Casey Dawson.
I mean, I've been wearing a lot. I've been showing off to my friends, my family. I mean, they're always like, where's the medal? Where's the medal? And
yeah, it's funny, like going from a kid to like racing at the highest level.
Liggity in an absolute zone.
I just remember being that one of those little kids, like, you know, chasing those racers out there trying to get autographs.
Another is alpine ski racer and two-time gold medalist Ted Liggity.
To see what that legacy is transformed into and the programs we have here is really cool to think that, you know, I was maybe a small piece of inspiring that next generation.
But that legacy goes further.
Well, first of all, I mean, I just love the Olympics.
And for those like skier Shannon Barkey.
Won a silver here in Salt Lake and then a bronze in 2010.
The 2002 Games changed the landscape.
What I witnessed, what I saw, the community coming together, you know, that Olympic spirit that I think everybody was here knows.
Creating a legacy.
Park City and Salt Lake, because we still use these venues.
And to be a mom and have my kids now training on some of the facilities that I trained on is something that you can't even describe how amazing that is.
So as the cheers, the chants, and the smiles continue. With so many past, present, and future Utah Olympians in one place, Utah's legacy is here to stay.
What a rich legacy it is.
Oh, yes, for sure. Let's keep that going.
Well, how fun to see everybody come together, and they're coming back. The Olympics
Fingers
are coming
crossed.
back.
One day.
Yeah, they'll come back.
I know. Well, we have the best snow.
That's right. Says so right on the license plate.
That's correct. And we even have the Olympic-style sports on the license plate, right? The skier and the snowboarder, of course.
That's exactly
the
right.
place. That snow is quickly going away, though, Dina.
Yeah, it is quickly going away. We've got closing weekend at a few places this weekend, but many of our ski resorts still open our first weekend of April. Let's take a live look outside, or a picture from earlier, rather. We've got a beautiful picture of the cherry blossoms, so even though it's getting warmer outside and the snow is melting, it is still beautiful all around. Just a nice shot with the Capitol behind it. Right now, we've had mostly clear skies this evening. It's 49 here in Salt Lake, 47 in Ogden, and 49 degrees in Provo. With the clear skies, we had some high cloud cover, a little bit of cirrus cloud earlier, and shifting that view over to the west, we've got high pressure here, but then our next cold front just on the coast of the western United States, of course. But all of this moving really slowly, so it'll be here tomorrow, but it's not that impressive, so don't get too excited about it. It's just going to bring us some cloud cover. 49 degrees in Salt Lake right now. It's 32 in Alta and 49 in Harriman. We're still in the 40s in Lehigh and in Logan. It's 70 still at the 9 o'clock hour in St. George, and your overnight low with the clear skies cooling down to around 50 degrees tonight. So our almanac for today shows an average high of 59. We went up to 58 degrees today, so just a little bit cooler than our average temperatures, but it is the first day of April. So usually the beginning and the end of the month, we like to have these climate discussions. So here's some stats for you. So our April climate data, when you consider the lows and high temperatures all together, your average high temperature is around 52 degrees. Now the average last freeze is about April 22nd, but interestingly, the latest last freeze at June 6th, 1914. Wow. Let's hope it's not that late this year. Okay. And our average precipitation for the month of April, around 2.5 inches or so. And a lot of people are always really surprised when it snows in April and May. But we actually do get 2 measurable days of snowfall in Salt Lake in the month of April, but not tomorrow. High pressure will be here, so it should be pretty dry. We've got this weak cold front coming through late in the day, and that will push in some cloud cover and a chance for very weak showers across that frontal boundary, especially across southeastern Utah, late on Saturday and into Sunday morning. But it's not a real big weather maker at all. 37 degrees and clear skies tonight in Salt Lake, 30 in Park City, and 50 in St. George. Now, tomorrow should be a really nice day. Beautiful weather all around. 64 in Salt Lake, 61 for Logan. We'll be in the 60s in Vernal. Oh, good time to go mountain biking there. And 80 degrees in St. George. Just picture perfect down by Snow Canyon. That's going to be a really good day. And of course, to start a spring break for many of our schools across the state. Southern Utah, great week for you. Increasing clouds with a cold front here. But man, this is the place to be this week. 80 degrees almost every day, 75 to 80. That's really nice weather. April in Southern Utah is always nice. And for the Wasatch Front, we've got temperatures in the 60s for the weekend. It cools down a little bit with that cold front on Sunday morning there. And then we have another chance, finally, for some rain and cool weather on Tuesday and Wednesday. But it's very brief because by the end of the week, it warms right back up.
All right, thank you, Dina. Still ahead, there is a new effort to fight the ongoing nursing shortage across the country. We'll explain how many more students have a chance to become nurses at the University of Utah.
And building homes in the Navajo Nation, the chance college architect students get for some hands-on experience. The shortage of nurses continues to be an issue in the medical field, and to help relieve that shortage, the University of Utah College of Nursing is accepting more students into their program. The school has announced it will accept an additional 36 pre-licensure students each year, bringing the total annual enrollment to now 180 students. University of Utah Dean College of Nursing Marla DeJong says the shortage isn't only in hospitals and clinics, but also in the teaching area of nursing.
And so we are working very hard to continue to recruit faculty from all perspectives, all specialties, so that we can continue to provide a stellar education for our students.
The college will accept 60 students 3 times a year with an option of summer semester enrollment. It says it will commit to more than $400,000 a year to achieve the goal.
A program called Design Build Utah at Bluff has architecture students at the University of Utah building their resumes and a community. The students recently finished full-scale works for the Navajo Nation in the Utah Four Corners area. As of this year, the students completed 16 houses and several projects. They not only get the chance to design and build a project, they engage with the indigenous community and future occupants.
Everybody wants a home that responds to their own needs, and the Navajo would be no different. And so here's an opportunity for our students to learn how to design for a rich culture.
The university says these projects help families by providing sustainable, affordable homes.
Inches away from losing power. Coming up, what historically low water levels mean for the future of hydropower at Lake Powell.
A whole bunch of school districts just started spring break, so we looked into the destinations Utahns gravitate to the most. See if you can guess. Are Utahns more likely to look at flights to Los Angeles or Miami?
A flight out of Salt Lake City takes a scary turn. What might have happened to cause this windscreen to suddenly shatter?
A world-renowned hike in Zion National Park is finally open just in time for spring break. But if you want to experience Angel's Landing, there's a catch.
Welcome back, everyone. Lake Powell recently hit a historic low at 3,525 feet above sea level.
Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree takes us to Page, Arizona to show us why low water levels are a concern, and not just for boaters.
Some people call this the eighth wonder of the world, and that's probably what it is.
Ken Runnels has been boating on Lake Powell since the early 90s.
It's different. It looks different.
He says it's not the same lake.
People that come here, some of them were here last year, some of them the year before, some of them from several years ago. And yeah, they'll comment how the water level's different and how the lake looks different and the way it used to be. But the reality is this is what we've got today.
That reality is a cause of concern for the Bureau of Reclamation.
The lower the lake level, there's less energy going down there, so we can't make as much energy as we can when the lake's deeper.
The Bureau of Reclamation has a minimum power pull elevation that water needs to be at in order for the dam to produce hydropower. Water needs to be at least 3,490 feet above sea level so the water can go above the pipes. Right now, levels are at 3,523 feet, which Levy says is dangerously low. How close are you then to not being able to produce power?
We're about, I think, 27 feet away.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
He says the way we've been using this precious water resource is not sustainable.
I think conservation has got to be mined, and the people in charge that have influence need to come up with plans to use the water responsibly.
Data from the Lake Powell Water Database shows water levels were more than 100 feet higher 10 years ago than they are today. Even within the last year, water levels have dropped 45 feet.
The biggest thing you notice when you're boating is scenery that you're used to seeing that was underwater is now above water, and you just got to watch. You got to watch for hazards in the lake that previously were underwater that haven't been marked yet this year.
The water is still at least 350 feet deep in most of the main channel, which Runnels says is plenty deep for houseboats and anyone who wants to get out and enjoy the lake. Reporting from Page, Arizona, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
An Enoch man is accused of stealing a car and leading police on a high-speed chase that ended up killing a dog. It started Wednesday afternoon in Cedar City. The Iron County Sheriff's Office says 21-year-old Sean Peacock stole an unlocked and running car with a dog inside. Peacock ended up crashing at a rest area in Canaryville. He will be charged after he's released from the hospital.
A high school soccer coach has been accused of sexting with who he thought was a 13-year-old girl, but was really an undercover officer. Logan police say 48-year-old Jorge Cruz met the officer posing as a child on a messaging app back in December. The officer says Cruz engaged in sexually explicit conversations and posted explicit images to a group they were in, despite being told the person was just 13 years old. Cruz was arrested on suspicion of several felony charges. We are waiting to hear back from the Cache County School District about Cruz's status as a coach at Skyview High School.
A strike has been averted at the Kennecott Copper Mine. Employees and Rio Tinto reached an agreement late last night. Union workers were seeking more money and better benefits. The company and the unions, representing about 2/3 of the mine's employees, reached a 5-year deal. It took effect this morning. Details were not released.
A shattered windscreen on a Delta flight from Salt Lake City to Washington, D.C. last evening forced the plane to make an emergency landing in Denver. The airline says the glass shattered spontaneously and that the crew decided to land out of an abundance of caution.
Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbetz has been speaking with experts about this case and reports on what might have happened.
Well, we've all been to the airport. We all know how long it takes to actually get up in the air because of how thorough those pre-flight inspections are supposed to be. And obviously, at this point, it's too early to say whether this issue is something that could have been caught ahead of time. Earlier today, we interviewed Jason Clark from the Flight Academy. He's been a pilot for more than 12 years. We showed him the statement we received from Delta, which said in part, quote, "Out of an abundance of caution, the flight crew diverted and the plane landed routinely." That statement makes it sound like landing the plane was optional. In some ways, he says the statement adds up. In other ways, he says it doesn't add up at all.
When I read that, that was strange, but as a pilot, that would never be an option. If you saw something like that crack, that being said, I think why they choose that verbiage is that window is probably still bulletproof. Like, even though it cracks and even though it was in that condition, nothing's gonna happen. It's still extremely safe. It's still holding the pressure.
He says there are dozens of reasons why the windshield could have been cracked, and now the answer to that question is going to be the subject of a long investigation. It could take months or it could take years. Either way, these types of cases are incredibly rare, but he believes it was most likely something internal, not external. Reporting at the Salt Lake City Airport tonight, Adam Herbetz, Fox 13 News, Utah.
An iconic store in Roy is closing its doors. The community wants to know what's next for this business that's been around for decades.
And you'll want to sign up fast if you want to hike Angel's Landing at Zion National Park. How to get in on the luck of the draw. The owners of an iconic produce store in Roy are retiring. They made the bittersweet announcement today.
Fox 13 News reporter Eliana Sheriff found out what's next for the well-known Sacco's produce store.
The sign, it's a landmark.
Everybody sees it from the freeway, so that brings them in.
You can't miss this behemoth sign. Sacco's standing tall in Roy, Utah for over 50 years.
I mean, we're like the typical mom and pa business.
The Sacco family business started by Carlos Sacco some 75 years ago.
He was selling door to door out of a truck.
Here's Carlos Sacco at just 9 years old, toting around a wagon filled with fruits and vegetables, selling around Ogden and even up into Wyoming. Over the decades, it's grown, carrying and prioritizing
Pretty much anything that's local. Honey, stories, pickles. The spices are a huge hit. Of course, the produce, because we deal with so many of the local farmers.
But like all good things, Dominic and his wife Candy know their time at Sacco's has come to an end.
Retirement. We want to retire. I'm tired. I want to go fishing.
We're gonna miss everybody. It's emotional.
Now that the secret is out, they've started to tell their loyal patrons.
A lot of people are sad, but they're happy for us. Gonna miss my customers.
Good, how are you doing? I'm doing good.
We know them by the first name. They come in once a week faithfully.
Candy says they want to try new things.
I've never been to Peach Days or Raspberry Days or the farmer's market.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so we're excited. We get to do things.
Oh, and yes, the sign isn't going anywhere. Candy and Dominic say the new owners agree the sign will remain along with the existing building, but they will be making some improvements. In Roy, Eliana Sheriff, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Dominic and Candy's last day is coming up on April 23rd. The new owners are farmers. They do plan to carry on the business.
Spring break is coming. The most popular spots to visit here in Utah.
And later in sports, the Utah Warriors and Grizzlies both at home on Friday. We'll check in with both. While Donovan Mitchell speaks out ahead of the big game for the Jazz in Northern California tomorrow night. The NBA playoffs right around the corner. Back in a bit.
Well, 4 of Utah's 5 biggest school districts take their spring break in the upcoming week.
That's right. So we asked Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth to do his best to figure out the big destinations for Utah travelers.
Utahns have diverse interests. Web searches about casinos are as common as searches about camping and fishing. And one website has a weird idea of what it means to get away from crowds.
It's very cool. One website made Zion National Park the #1 spring break destination in America. But the reason they give? A destination for rugged adventurers looking to ditch the crowds and get in touch with nature? Go to Zion on spring break and ditch the crowds. Numbers from Google show Utahns have been searching for Zion more than all other Utah national parks combined in the 7 days leading to the biggest public school spring break week. In terms of activities, Utahns have searched RVing more than hiking, and hiking more than casinos, camping, and fishing. When it comes to flying, Expedia says these 10 cities in this order are most searched by American travelers. So we took those cities to Google to see which ones Utahns searched for over the 7 days leading to this spring break. Nearby Las Vegas dominates the list, but then Utahns searched for Miami, Orlando, and Los Angeles more than Denver. And the really distant destinations, London, Cancun, Maui, San Juan, and Honolulu, have not topped Utah's recent searches.
My favorite part of looking into all these numbers, Google shows the time of day when searches spike and when they're slow. And for 7 days in a row, searches for one activity spiked at 2 or 3 a.m. It's in the wee hours of the morning when Utahns search for casinos. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Registration is now open online if you want to hike the top or to the top of Angel's Landing at Zion National Park this summer. For those who wish to hike Angel's Landing between the months of June and August, you need to apply between today and April 20th to be entered into the seasonal lottery. Now, if you don't get picked for a permit, don't worry, you can still try your luck in a daily lottery the day before heading into the park.
So the pilot permit program that we're managing now only affects folks who want to go to Angel's Landing. It doesn't affect folks who want to come into the park. You don't need a reservation to visit. It doesn't affect riding the shuttle. You don't need to get a ticket.
We have links to the Angel's Landing permit lottery at fox13now.com.
Olympic snowboarding champion Shaun White surprised an adaptive snowboarder at Woodward Park City earlier this week. Watch this.
Yo, Zach. What's up? Yeah, man. We're Sean. How are you? Oh, sh**. How's it going, man? Right on. Take some laps? Yeah, man.
It was like such a friendly encounter, like, oh yeah, dude, I know you. And then he's like, oh my gosh, it is Shaun White.
Shaun White.
What a surprise. 35-year-old Zack Sherman lost both legs and an arm 12 years ago in a motorcycle crash. He didn't let his amputations, however, end his love of snowboarding, and he now competes in adaptive events. In addition to joining him on the slopes, Shaun White there presented Sherman with a grant from the Challenged Athletes Foundation to pay for all of his training and competition expenses.
Wow. That is so cool.
Very cool.
That is really, really cool. And of course, it's still ski season, at least for another couple of weeks. And tonight we had dry conditions, but beautiful sunset here. This picture from Joe from our Facebook page on Utah's Weather Authority. Of course, you can drop pictures over there too. We'd love to see those. Right now, we've got really nice conditions out here. Clear skies, 49 degrees, 47 in Ogden and 49 in Provo. We had clear skies for much of the night and just some high cloud cover. But looking up to the west, you can see our next storm. We've got a cold front here just off the west coast, but it's not really very moist, so all we're going to see with it is an increase in cloud cover as we go into tomorrow. But for tonight, with the clear skies, there may not be snow, but there's dark skies in Utah, and we have a planet conjunction tonight. So there are 3 planets with a possible sighting of a 4th planet, and all of this will be on the eastern sky, the eastern horizon before sunrise. And our sunrise is around 7 a.m. So if you're an early riser and you're up around 6 o'clock in the morning, you might be able to see some of this. And if you look down below, you might see Jupiter. But the 3 planets that we're looking for are Venus, Saturn, and Mars. And they'll be up together in the eastern sky, a little triangle formation. And if you're lucky, you'll see Jupiter. But we have a lot of terrain in Utah, so this one might be harder to see. But that'll be exciting with the clear skies tonight, because otherwise we've got very quiet weather on tap. 49 in Salt Lake, 51 in Farmington. It's in the 40s in Ogden right now. Still holding on to the heat here in St. George. It's 70 degrees there. It will cool down to around 50 overnight. Now, high pressure with the clear skies tonight, but here's our next cold front. Yeah, don't get yourself too excited about this. It's just bringing some clouds. It's not really very moist. It'll give us a little shot of slightly cooler air on Sunday morning, and there's a chance for very light precipitation, especially across southeastern Utah late Saturday night into Sunday morning, but not a lot of moisture with this system, and not a lot of wind either, so it's just kind of a weak front moving through. Tonight, though, clear skies. 37 in Salt Lake. It'll be 30 in Park City and about 50 in St. George tonight, so it'll cool off nicely there, and the 30s in Price. Now, tomorrow, great day. So we've got mostly sunny conditions and nice and warm in St. George. Around 80 degrees for you, 75 in Kanab. We'll start to see that increase in cloud cover in the second part of the day. Up to 64, though, in Salt Lake. A nice afternoon for you. Southern Utah, 80 degrees, increase in clouds with the front on Sunday. And this is a good week, as we were just hearing Max's story talking about spring break. It's around 75 to 80 degrees all week in southern Utah. Really nice weather for the first full week of April. For the Wasatch Front, you've got temperatures in the 60s for Saturday, a little cooler on Sunday, and then you'll notice our next storm moves in on Tuesday. It will become windy and wet. It cools off for about 2 days, and then we're back up into the 60s again. So we do have some April showers in the forecast, but not for the weekend. It should be pretty mild and lovely outside.
The Jazz put an end to their longest losing streak of the season last night with a win over the Lakers. But tomorrow at Golden State, it's back on the road for one more, where Utah has been subpar for months now. In fact, Donovan Mitchell and company finished just 3-8 away from Vivint Arena throughout the month of March.
It's huge, just getting a win and getting ready for this game on Saturday, especially with their guys out, being able understanding that, those guys that are out there, are playing, and coming out aggressive. So being able to take care of business and rest up and get ready for Golden State, it was big, but for us, it's just one game. We got to do it again and again.
Yes, you do. Here's the top of the Western Conference right now, where Memphis moved up a game tonight on first place Phoenix after beating the Suns. And both Dallas and Denver lost, so the Warriors move back into third, while the Jazz are now a half game better than the Nuggets. with just 5 games left. Only 2 games left for the Salt Lake Stars. Marquez Bolden rolling to the rack at the Viv against the Texas Legends, lifting the Stars up in the 3rd, but the 4th belonged to Texas. Daxter Miles Jr., all part of a 14-4 run, and then Justin Jackson glides in. The Stars wrap up their season against Stockton tomorrow. Other NBA action, the Lone Peak kid Frank Jackson tallied his best game since November tonight, dropping 26 points for the Pistons in a win at the Thunder. Jackson coming off the bench to lead Detroit. Go to Harriman for some rugby. The Warriors entertaining the San Diego Legion. The home team up 6-3 after this Caleb Mockney boot, but not too long later, the Legion, they're painfully close to a score here, and they get in right there. San Diego taking off from there at Zions Bank Stadium. Here's another try. Utah falling 40-25 for their 3rd straight loss. On the ice, the Grizzlies and Rapid City Rush were separated by only 1 point for the Mountain Division lead. Mason Manick opening up a big second period for the Grizz. Ben Tardif poking one home as well, followed by a 3rd goal. Charles Edouard Diasto ending up on the ice that time. 5-2 the final to give Utah a little bit of separation. Same 2 tomorrow at the Maverick Center. BYU softball dropped game 1 this week to New Mexico, but outscored the Lobos 29-2 over the final 2 games. Hunter Ava with 2 on in the 2nd this afternoon, adding to a 5-0 lead. It was 17-1 by game's end for Ava, her 10th home run of the campaign, as the Lady Cougs improved to 24-8 on the season. An outbound Cougar played in today's Reese's College All-Star Game in New Orleans ahead of this weekend's Final Four. Alex Barcelo with the little step back and pop from the baseline for Team West. The East, though, would dominate to win 115-103 at the Superdome. And women's Final Four. South Carolina is into Sunday's final after getting by Louisville tonight to face UConn, who upset Stanford just minutes ago. We'll be right back.
Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, Bountiful City Police are reporting a gas leak at this hour. It's happening in the area of Oakwood Drive between Chelsea Drive and Ashley Circle. South Davis Metro Fire is monitoring the homes in that area for safety, and they are blocking the road. There is no predicted time for when this will be resolved.
Well, finally on Fox 13 News at 9 tonight. Today, April 1st, is the start of Autism Appreciation Month, and an art exhibit in Ogden kicked off the celebrations.
Coming in tonight and bringing their families and to see the pride and the joy that they have, because this is their night. This is them coming in and saying, I did this, and I'm important, I matter, and I'm seen in the community.
So true. Tonight was the Autistic Art Stroll, one of 4 activities the organization Awesome Autistic Ogden will be hosting all month long. And congratulations to all those artists. Your
beautiful
first show, maybe.
Yeah, beautiful art.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Quickcast is up next.